What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam, episode 73. Do you have a secret technique for staying focused on your shop and keeping life's relentless onslaught of distractions from tugging you off course? In this episode, we chat with Carly from PendantPlaceStore about how she parents herself by holding herself accountable for the things that she knows she needs to get done. We also talk about how she's iterated through different Etsy shops, her experiences with promoted listings, and more. Join us next week for part 2 of the conversation with Carly, where she shares results from an interesting experiment she did this last holiday season. What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam, the show where we have cheerful conversations about serious topics. I am Gordon from Marmalead.
I am Richie from Marmalead, and if you're not yet familiar with Marmalead and you have an Etsy shop, it's time to get familiar with Marmalead, because Marmalead is the best Etsy SEO and market research tool for serious sellers. You can learn more about Marmalead at marmalead.com, which is marmalead.com.
And we have a very special guest with us this week. We have Carly from PendantPlaceStore on Etsy. So if you haven't checked that out yet, click the link on the blog or go ahead and type it in and search it yourself on Etsy. But thank you so much for joining us, Carly.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I watch you guys all the time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Before we get to, we're going to do a 2-part episode here too with you. And so part 1 will be getting to know you, and then everyone else stick around for part 2, where we're going to do a deep dive into a shopper's perspective of Etsy. Carly did something interesting this last holiday season, so we want to do kind of a bit of a deeper dive into that and some key takeaways that you as a seller can really capitalize on from seeing things from the other side of the fence. But before we get too far into that, do you want to give us a little bit of background on you and where you started selling, how you found Etsy?
Yeah, so my mom had gotten me a charm bracelet making course at the local beading shop. I went there. She was like, wow, you're really fast and really good at this. You catch on well. And I was like, thank you. Then I walked over and I saw all these different occasions that you can get charms for. And then at checkout, I saw this One Direction picture pendant. And I was like, wow, how cool is that? You can use your own pictures. She didn't know how they do that. So I went on this journey of researching. And it has been a very long journey. There are many, many different ways to make these picture pendants. And I did what many people do, where you give them out for Christmas and people really like them. They really made an impact. It's kind of that gift that you're like, oh my God, it's so personal. It really touches the person. And that's the problem, I guess, that I wanted to solve, was finding a gift that's meaningful and not just going out and getting the latest electronic or the latest toy, especially for people in your life that you're very close to, that you've been giving gifts to throughout the years. You want to get something a little different, a little more meaningful, a little geared towards them. So that's why I started. I can't remember exactly how I found Etsy. I think it was one of those things where somebody had mentioned it to me, and then I just saw it and I was like, wow, this is cool. I can sell these and make a profit. Wow. And I thought it was going to be so quick, so easy, but it was not. This is my third shop, my third attempt over the span of about 5 to 6 years. And that's pretty much how I came about to be on Etsy.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So third attempt, the kind of iterating through shops, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't, and each time learning a bit more. Talk us through that process and what that looked like, and maybe some of the things you learned in your first shop that you didn't do in the second one, and then stuff in the second one that you didn't do in the third one.
First one, again, I still have it today to get supplies and things like that. So that one is still there, but just not an open shop. Originally, I had just started watching some videos on YouTube from Renee Christine and people like that. And I started to grow and broaden my horizons. And I started to have an understanding of how to use Etsy. And my pictures were absolutely horrendous. They're embarrassing if you look at them now. Even in making my product, I've really grown in making it. I would say my process back then in making it wasn't as strong or nearly as strong as it is now. So it's definitely been a learning curve to learn my product and how to make it the best possible way. I think I got like 10 sales that year. I really tried, but I was really frustrated. I really was like, this is not working. And then And then I started to gain a little more knowledge through watching things like Etsy Jam. And I said, forget this shop. Let me start fresh and new. So then I came up with a really cool name. I started doing the flea market thing. It wasn't really working for me in my area. Not to say it won't work for other people and other products, but for my specific product, because you have to send me your picture, that's not really something that worked too well for me in flea markets. For me, it was more like advertising. So I can't make it there in front of you. I need a little time. I did try and sell like Marilyn Monroe ones and things like that, but it really wasn't, it made me realize that wasn't what my demographic and my market was. So I learned from that. And then I said, okay, let me try this one more time. Now I have a set of products that I'm really good at making, and I have an idea of how to differentiate it from what's already out there. Because there are other people who make picture pendants and picture jewelry, and they do it in so many different ways that I decided to take a step back, close that one. The name was cool, but it didn't really make sense. The name of that one was Charmspiration. Because I thought of inspiring charms, but a lot of people didn't get it, and it was too long, and it didn't look good with logos or anything. So this time I took everything that I learned. I looked at other shops who were selling something similar, and I said, okay, how can I make this a little different and a little more specific to me and my shop? And the biggest thing was Marmalead. I mean, I got excited, and I wrote on the Facebook group, I made $500 in November. Well, guys, I tripled that in December. So
nice.
This guy's year moving forward.
Awesome.
I do use Etsy on sale to do renewing, but I recently dove back in with your new updates, and it was great before. It's even better now. And I realized, I can just renew as I go along. I don't particularly have to renew every day. You guys will tell me when I need to renew something. So that's something new that I'm trying right now, rather than doing it on a daily, because you also have to go with where your business is at. If you are selling things every single day, then 20 cents a day is nothing. It's like $5 a week, a little more.
Yeah.
But if I can actually have a tool that tells me, hey, you should renew this product today, then that's still way easier and way more cost effective than doing it on a daily basis. Yeah. And also pay a little bit more for that to even kick in on top of that. I said it's not a big deal. I think you need to spend money to make money within reason, though. It doesn't mean spend all your money and spend it on everything, but you need to look at what fits with you, your situation, and your business, and then go from there. But I thank you guys, because I think that's really cool, because now I just do it as needed, not all the time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you're spot on, I think, about spending money to make money, but doing it wisely. The renewal space is interesting. It used to be, I think, a much bigger factor on Etsy. The direction they've been heading with more personalized searches and search results and experiences for shoppers and things like that has made it so that I don't think they need to lean on renewal date as much. And so, like you were talking about the updates that we just had in Marmalead, this last round, we de-emphasized the importance of renewals a bit, because that's what we've been seeing that Etsy has been doing too. So we try to stay in step with them and make sure that we're always delivering the most accurate and meaningful information to you as a Marmalead user. But the renewal space is really interesting with what they were trying to do with it originally, and kind of how it's been changing over time too. So it's a good one. But you've also done things with promoted listings on your listings too. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. So I started to give Etsy $1 a day to see how it goes. So how I see it is, if I'm spending, let's say, $30 a month, then I need to sell 2 products to cover that cost, and I need to sell 3 to make a profit. Realistically, to sell 3 products is not that hard in a month time. So I think it does help, because as you're searching on Etsy for specific keywords, if your keyword matches with that, then they'll put you right up there, and it'll say promoted listing. But as the buyer and the searcher, while I'm looking, that's the first thing that I see. And it automatically puts you right up there, as opposed to kind of being in the mix. And then you scroll down, and then if your keywords are in a good spot, then you're also down there as well. So they see you twice. So they're less likely to be like, oh, what was that?
Yeah.
Let me click on hers to see, what she has to offer. And then I just think it puts it in the customer's eye a little bit better For Facebook and Instagram, I do promoted listings as well, or not just promote listings, but promotions. And if I really like a picture, then I'll just give them like $1 to $3 for a 3-day thing. And I'll tell you that I did notice the traffic has been coming in from Instagram and Facebook a lot more than before when I was not doing that. Mm-hmm. Those are little side ones that I've done. And I only do it, every here and there, $1, $3.
Yeah.
I add up, but if you keep track, you should be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So you found out that that's working for you then on most of your listings. Definitely. Nice. Mm-hmm. You also, when you sent over your kind of pre-conversation chat to us, mentioned gratitude attitude, which we've talked about that a little bit before on the Jam, but I think it's super important. And I'd love to hear what it means to you.
So every day, especially during Christmas, when I started getting a lot of sales and was really like on a roll, I would wake up and the first thing I would say is, I am grateful for all of the Etsy sales I have today. Now, I also walk dogs throughout the day, and I'm a babysitter, and especially during dog walking times and driving between the dogs' houses, I mean, there's nothing but time to think those thoughts. So if I'm really bored and I have nothing else to think about, I'm like, let me take this time to just repeat in my head that I am grateful for all of the Etsy sales that I have today. I'm grateful for, let's say I want to have a $100,000 business. It may not be there yet, but that's a thought that I might stick on for a couple minutes to say I'm grateful for the $100,000 Etsy business I own. Keep it very simple and allow yourself to think those thoughts, because they'll most likely come back to you if that's what you believe. I believe that definitely. Yeah, and that's what I do when I'm walking the dogs or driving between. I'm like, I don't like anything on the radio right now. Great, we're just going to do some gratitude attitude and just shut off the radio.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, especially, it can get very frustrating. So even when you have moments of frustration, to kind of step outside of that, go for a walk and just, not even think about all the problems, but just think about and refocus on your main goal. And being grateful that it can and will happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It's amazing how all the little things, all the little places you can be, like the car, where, you really can't work on anything else. But sometimes just those problems throughout the day want to just occupy your space. And just like you said, it's like you have to just, what do you want to happen? Focus on that. Be grateful for the things that are working and focus on those. And you just gotta kind of let some of that other stuff go, because it'll drive you nuts.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to force it, but you gotta force it. And sometimes it's just in thinking a thought. I do say it out loud, like, I am grateful for my Etsy sales, and say it as many times as you need for those other not so happy thoughts to kind of fall off. And they will. It's hard, but they will. They will if you just keep forcing yourself to say it.
Yeah.
And think.
Yeah, I remember way back in the day, Richie kind of turned me on to affirmations, which, before he had talked about them with me, all I could think of was Stuart Smalley on Saturday Night Live with his daily affirmations with Stuart Smalley. But Richie and I were talking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'll try it, right? And the first time you do it, and whether you're in your car or the shower at home or whatever, but you say something out loud, it feels weird. At least it did to me. It was kind of like, this is bizarre, But then as you keep doing it, it gets more and more comfortable, and you're like, okay, I could feel this better,
Yeah, I wonder, I'm like, were any of the dog moms driving next to me and wondering why I'm saying the same sentence over and over? Crazy person walking their dog. But people aren't paying attention to their own things. They're really not paying attention to you. Even when you see someone singing in their car and you're like, oh, they're singing in their car. But you're like, I do that. All right. And you don't even think about that person later on in the day. It's like a split second. So
yeah, exactly.
Who cares? Do what you have to do for yourself to make yourself and your shop better.
Yeah, I like it. In that vein of staying positive and being grateful for things, let's flip that around. And what are some of the struggles that you've had on Etsy? We talked a little bit when moving through the different shops and finding things that worked better, but what are some other struggles that you've had as an Etsy seller?
Well, for one, my schedule Monday through Friday generally is 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. is when I'm working. So I have this window from 9 to 12 at night, Monday through Friday, and then I have the weekends to work on Etsy. So that can be a challenge, and I have to tell myself, okay, the weekends is when I can take pictures, because although I'd love to take them at nighttime, it really isn't going to benefit anybody to waste time doing that when you know they can be better. Getting your pictures done for social media during the weekend and setting that up, coming up with tools that will help you. Like Hootsuite is a free program where you can schedule all of your social media in one shot, and it'll just go off throughout the week, so you don't even have to do it. I would say another challenge definitely has been finding suppliers and figuring out how to make my product in the best way possible. I know I touched on this before, but I've gone through so many different glues, pieces, different materials, different things, paper, printers, ink, because, you know, my biggest competitor, they print right on the glass.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I do. I sit there and I hand make each piece, because and I looked into the photo printer, and those are like gazillions of dollars. And I wouldn't even know how to, you know, put something on something the size of a dime. How they do it, I don't know, but that's something I definitely look forward to in the future as things grow, maybe looking into that. But I also feel like just figuring out how to make my product in the best possible way. And now I really have a structured system where it's like easy. I don't have to make like 5, you know, to make one. I can make one, and it's the perfect way to make that one. And a lot of that is in research. You have to take, you know, a lot of time to research your product. You may think that you're doing it the best way, most efficient way, but there's always so many other ways to rework it so you can grow with it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
take a bite of the bullet and going on Marmalead. That was a challenge for me.
Yeah.
You know, over the fear of what if this does really well and I can't, you know, keep up with it. Not even thinking about that, just focusing on growing steadily as opposed to growing really, really fast. Because if you grow really, really fast, that's awesome, but you can also get to a burnout point, whereas if you allow yourself to grow steadily, then you can keep up with what you're doing.
Yeah. Definitely. I could definitely see that. And there's a lot of sellers who around the holidays, if they've been through years of the holidays before on Etsy, kind of get that feeling of, all right, I don't want to go crazy this holiday season. I'm going to build up inventory, and then when I sell it, and I'm done. Like, I'm not going to scramble and be spending my whole holidays trying to like catch up on orders and do all this craziness when I really want to be spending time with my family. So I think for everyone, it's kind of a balance of figuring out where you want that to be in your life and what kind of a part it plays in the grand scheme of things. And it, like you say, it's really tough when timing wise, you're looking at nights and weekends to work on things. And for photography, for you, like, I want to do it during the day. It has to be on a weekend. Well, good luck defending your weekends. That's when everyone wants to do everything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to make that time. And that's also a big challenge for me is, you know, with my work schedule, I do get a little tired, but somebody on the Jam talked about this a couple of weeks ago where they were saying like they have that turning point of being like confident and saying, you know, I've managed retail stores. I have a business degree. I can make this happen. I can make this business grow. Yeah. And having that turning point, and also I think I touched on this before, is being your own parent. And I always give the example of like, as a babysitter, I can definitely say this. You have, you know, your kids scheduled to go to this appointment, then this appointment, and then you have dinner and they want cake, but they can't have their cake until they eat their vegetables. So you have to eat your vegetables in relation to your business before you can have your cake, which is relaxation time. And you have to be your own parent to tell yourself and motivate yourself to say, this is what you have to do today. And to structure your time to be like, okay, what can I do at nighttime? What I can do at nighttime is I can update my keywords for an hour. I can read and gain knowledge for myself and my Etsy shop and my business. I can, you know, what things can I do? I can work on orders as opposed to during the daytime, like with photos and things like that. So you have to be your own parent, be your own teacher, be your principal, give yourself homework and do the homework that you know you need to do. And that was a big challenge, is doing the things I knew I needed to do rather than sitting in front of the TV and thinking about them.
Yep.
So that's a big thing. You have to push yourself.
Yeah, or, you know, you've got 5 different things you know you need to do, but you really don't want to do any of those, so you pick a 6th thing and convince yourself that, you know, I should be doing that too, and then before you know it, you're on Facebook and everything's lost.
You're like an hour later on Facebook. That's another thing I do is I manage a social media profile for my boss as well, 2 of them. So that's also another thing. Like while I'm trying to do mine, I do hers, and then my other bosses ask me to do hers now. I'm like, I don't know if I can do everything. I'm like, I need. So like, while I'm babysitting, while we have TV time, because there's always going to be an hour of TV time, maybe I can read a little bit, or I can check my stats. Do something that will help my business and myself.
Now, what tricks have you found that, I like the term you use, parenting yourself. What tricks have you found that help you parent yourself?
I wish I knew the shop name. I recently bought a planner from Etsy, from another Etsy seller. It's a digital download. It was like $12, and I can constantly print out the pages. So taking one day of the weekend and setting that up for myself. Another thing is every day at nighttime, writing down all the things that I did accomplish that day.
Yeah.
And comparing it to all the things that I wanted to do.
I like that.
So it's like, if I see that I did everything, I'm like, woo! And if I see I even got half of it done, and I think back on how crazy my day got, it makes me feel better, and it builds my confidence in knowing that I can make this business happen. Because it's not just making products, it's doing all of the business aspects of it to make it happen.
Yeah. That's a really good point, and a really good technique too, I think, because when you get to the end of the day and you write those things down, let's say you did like 9 of the 12 things you wanted to do. That's a great time to be recognizing the 3 things you didn't get done and knowing tomorrow, where those should fall in your list of priorities of things you have to do the next day.
We now interrupt your regularly scheduled jam to bring you your first Easter egg. Your first Easter egg is a stormtrooper holding an orange.
Yeah, your own homework. You know, you're in your own school, and these are the classes you have to take.
Yeah.
The homework you have to do for each one. Like, one class is Marmalead, one class is social media, the other class is product.
That's right.
Put yourself, give yourself homework and do it.
I like that.
Absolutely. And if you write that stuff down too, and you compare, and you're like, oh my gosh, I meant to do this and I didn't. Since it's fresh in your mind, you can also think like, what happened? Like, why didn't I do this? And you can be like, oh, I totally got sidetracked on this other thing. And it's kind of a learning experience, because there are so many things when you have to wear all the hats. There are just so many things that can just take your time. All of a sudden you have a nice, well-meaning list. Maybe it's not even that big of a list. And it's like, oh, easy day. But then all these things bombard you by like 10 a.m. Next thing you know, you got one thing on your list done.
Yep.
Yeah, like, and you have kids. So it's like if your child is sick that day, or they're having a bad day and you're having a good day, and it's not matching up quite well, you may have to take a little more time to focus on them and all the other things that you have to do, but still reflecting on what did you do today. You can make it happen. You just have to show you, and sometimes physically see that you can make it happen. Take the pressure off.
Exactly. A little track record, a little proof to yourself. And I like, kind of outlining what I'm going to do for the day. But it helps, and part of it is just being accountable to me, like, hey, I said I was going to do this, and I feel better when I do it.
Yeah, you do, and it builds your confidence, because it's hard, because a lot of us go on Etsy and we make a really great product and we want to sell it and we want to get it out there to people, but there's so much to do behind that. It's just like when you order something at Macy's, they have somebody to receive the order, they have somebody to ship the order, and they have somebody to make the product. They have separate people to do everything, but in this business, you are doing everything until you get to a point where you can start to hire, some other people. And that's pretty much the goal, is to get to that point, so you can have people to work for you and to be that big that you can support yourself and other people. And how great is that?
Yeah.
Be able to contribute.
Definitely.
In the meantime, it's hard. In the meantime, you got to get there.
Well, I don't want to get too much into the next thing, because it's what we're going to be talking about in part 2 with you, Carly. But maybe give a little bit of background on what you decided to do this year that allowed you to look at a bunch of different shops from a totally different perspective than you normally do, and how that went.
So, you're talking about the Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
So I decided this year, I was sitting there thinking to myself, what's another way that I can push the algorithm in my direction? And I thought, well, Christmas is here. Let me buy most of my Christmas presents on Etsy. And also, for me, it'll give me knowledge to see where I'm doing right and where I can improve on by shopping with other Etsy sellers. And, instead of going to TJ Maxx and getting a little, dog salt shaker from them, I was like, dog salt shaker in Etsy. Oh, there you go. And I bought it from Etsy, and I just started my shopping a little earlier. I started in November so I could get everybody's presents. And I would say like 85 to 90% of my Christmas presents were purely on Etsy. And that really, really opened my eyes to a lot of different things.
That's awesome. I can't wait to talk through those with you too in part 2. It's going to be awesome to hear all that stuff. And I think it's going to be a lot of stuff too that other sellers like yourself probably wasn't even really on their radar until you actually go through that experience. So I think it's going to be cool.
Also, another thing I just wanted to quickly mention, another thing going back to what really helped my shop and traffic too, was I started using shop updates as a everyday to-day social media as opposed to just promoting my products. I used to only post pictures of my products, and then I was like, why isn't this working? So then I started taking various pictures of my products that were not already on my listings, and that really wasn't working either. And then I started posting pictures of like, I'm at the dog park, I'm working on this order, I'm taking a walk right now. And then all of a sudden there was more traffic that came to my shop, and I really think that was because I made more of an effort to not just be so focused on my products, but be focused on also the person behind the products, which is myself and, my workspace.
Yep.
I didn't really focus. I very rarely will put, no, not very rarely, every like 5 or 6 posts, I'll post one picture of a product, but I really try and gear away from that because I noticed that was a huge difference.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And I think that's one of the things that makes Etsy a really special place on the internet is it's one of the very few places where you can go buy something, and that's important to the people shopping for it. They want to know the person who they're buying from. They want to know the story behind things. When you're buying on Walmart and Target and Amazon, you don't have that same thing, and they don't share that same thing. It's a very blind experience, and I think that's really cool that Etsy does that, and it's awesome that you're leaning into it and seeing an improvement in views from that. That's cool.
Yeah, because when I wasn't doing it for a little while, I took a little break. I didn't really get anything, and then when I started doing it again, they started coming back. So I can confidently say that helps get traffic to your shop. Being a little more real with your social media, not just, look at my product, look at this, look at this, buy this. They can already see that on your listings. They want to see more personal things.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. I didn't want to forget that one. That was important.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. So in that same vein, where can people go to find more information about you and your shop?
You can go to www.PendantPlace.com, and that will also be my Etsy shop, and you can see all my shop updates when you scroll down. You see all these cute dogs and, products in the making, talking about like the different, materials and things that I am using now that are working even better than anything else I used before. Because I definitely feel like I'm in a place where I finally found it. I finally found the best possible, most efficient, best quality way to make them. So that's cool to see all that. And the different like packaging. I started getting like printed packaging on Amazon from the Etsy, the Marmalead Facebook group. Somebody suggested it, and now I get like butterflies and hearts and things like that. People love them. So that's cool.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to chatting with you in part 2 of the Jam. And for everyone else, we will see you guys next time on Etsy Jam.